Hello, dear listeners, and welcome to today's episode, English Listening Time. Let me ask you a few questions to get started. Do you sometimes find it difficult to understand spoken English? Would you like to improve your listening skills while enjoying simple and clear conversations? If yes, then this episode is just for you. So, dear listeners, I will talk a little slower today so that you can understand everything easily. This is your time to practice English listening and speaking, step by step. Let's begin. First, think about this. What do you like to do in your free time? Do you enjoy reading, watching movies, or spending time with friends? For example, I like to read books and listen to music in my free time. It's relaxing and fun. What about you? Now, let's imagine you are talking to a friend in English. They ask you, "What do you usually do on weekends?" How would you answer? You could say, "On weekends, I like to go for a walk," or "I watch my favorite TV shows." These are simple ways to start a conversation in English. Let's try another question. What's your favorite food? If someone asks you this, you could say, "My favorite food is pizza," or "I love eating pasta." Talking about food is a fun and easy way to practice English. How about this? Do you like traveling? If yes, where would you like to go? You can say something like, "I want to visit London," or "I would love to see New York." These are great ways to talk about your dreams and plans in English. Remember, listening and speaking are connected. The more you listen to English, the easier it will be to speak it. That's why it's important to practice listening every day. You can listen to podcasts like this one, watch English videos, or even listen to songs. Here's a tip. When you listen, try to focus on the main ideas first. Don't worry if you don't understand every word. The key is to understand the general meaning. Over time, you'll get better and faster at understanding spoken English. Let's talk about daily activities now. Can you describe your morning routine? For example, you could say, "I wake up at 7 o'clock, then I have breakfast and go to work." Try to think about how you would say these things in English. It's a great way to practice using simple sentences. And finally, don't forget to enjoy the process of learning. Learning English should be fun and interesting. When you practice listening, think of it as a game. The more you practice, the better you will become. So, are you ready to improve your listening and speaking skills? Let's keep practicing together. Let's continue, dear listeners, and dive deeper into English listening practice. This time, let's use some short stories and examples to help you understand better. As I said earlier, I will speak slowly so you can follow along easily. Imagine this. It's a beautiful sunny day. You wake up early, feeling fresh and ready to start your day. You open the window, and the warm sunlight fills your room. What do you do next? You might say, "I make a cup of tea and sit by the window to enjoy the view." Simple actions like these can be great ways to practice describing your daily routine in English. Here's another example. Let's say you're going to a park in the afternoon. When you arrive, you see children playing, people jogging, and some families having picnics. How would you describe this scene? You might say, "The park is full of life. The kids are playing on the swings and the birds are chirping in the trees." Isn't that a nice way to practice speaking? Now let's talk about conversations. Imagine you meet a new friend. They ask, "What do you usually do after work?" How would you answer? You could say, "After work, I like to relax at home. Sometimes I watch movies and other times I read books." See how simple and natural that sounds? Practice answering questions like this in your own words. Let's try another short story. Think about a rainy day. You're sitting by the window, watching the rain fall. What do you say to describe this moment? You might say, "The rain is falling softly, and the air feels fresh. I love the sound of rain. It's so calming." These sentences are not only easy to understand, but also help you practice describing feelings and weather. Now, let's practice using some common phrases. For example, If you want to ask someone how they are, you can say, "How's it going?" or "What's up?" These are casual and friendly ways to start a conversation. To respond, you could say, "I'm doing great, thank you," or "Not bad, just a little tired." Practicing these phrases will help you sound more natural in English. Think about a trip you've taken. Let's say you went to the mountains. How would you describe the experience? You might say, "The mountains were beautiful. The air was so clean, and I felt so peaceful there." Or, "I went hiking and enjoyed the breathtaking views from the top." Stories like these are excellent for practicing past tense and vocabulary. Let's explore another scenario. Imagine you are at a restaurant with a friend. You want to order food. How would you do it? You could say, "I'd like to have a cheeseburger and a soda, please." If you're asking for recommendations, you might say, "What do you recommend?" Or, "What's the most popular dish here?" Practicing these sentences will help you feel confident when dining out. Now let's talk about making plans. Suppose your friend asks, "What are you doing this weekend?" You might answer, "I'm planning to visit my grandparents," or "I think I'll go shopping at the mall." These are simple yet effective ways to talk about your future plans. One of the most important parts of improving your listening skills is to stay consistent. Make it a habit to listen to English every day. You can listen to podcasts, watch videos, or even try listening to English news. The key is to expose yourself to different types of content. For example, if you enjoy cooking, you could watch a cooking video in English and listen carefully to how the chef explains the steps. Now, let me share a short story about my favorite memory. When I was a child, I loved going to the beach with my family. We would build sandcastles, play in the water, and have a picnic under the sun. One time, I remember trying to catch crabs with my little net, but they were too fast for me. I still laugh when I think about it. How would you describe your favorite childhood memory? Practicing stories like these will make your English more engaging and fun. Another tip is to repeat what you hear. For example, if you listen to someone say, "I'm going to the store to buy some groceries," try repeating it aloud. This helps you practice pronunciation and improves your confidence. You can also try changing the sentence slightly, like, "I'm going to the market to buy some vegetables." Finally, let's talk about gratitude. What are you thankful for today? You could say, "I'm thankful for my family," or "I'm grateful for this opportunity to learn English." Reflecting on positive things is not only good for your mood, but also a great way to practice speaking in complete sentences. Let us imagine a weekend morning. Picture this. You wake up to the sound of birds chirping outside your window. The sun is shining and the sky is a clear blue. You decide to take a walk to start your day. As you walk, you see neighbors gardening, children playing, and people walking their dogs. How would you describe this scene? You might say, "It's a peaceful morning, the air is fresh, and the streets are full of happy energy." This is a great way to practice talking about everyday situations. Here's another scenario. You are at a cafe. You order a cup of coffee and a croissant. The waiter asks, "Would you like anything else?" You respond, "No, thank you. This is perfect." While you sit and enjoy your coffee, you notice people around you reading books, chatting with friends, or working on their laptops. If you were to describe this, you could say, "The cafe is cozy and full of life. It's the perfect place to relax and enjoy a quiet morning." Now, let's think about a family gathering. Imagine your relatives are coming over for dinner. There's laughter, conversation, and the delicious smell of food in the air. Someone asks you, "What's your favorite dish?" How would you reply? You could say, "I love spaghetti with meatballs. It reminds me of when I was a child, and my grandma used to make it for me." Adding small personal stories like this makes your conversation more interesting. Let's move to another example. You are shopping for clothes at a mall. You see a beautiful jacket on display. The salesperson asks, "Would you like to try it on?" You say, "Yes, please. It looks very nice." After trying it on, you might say, It fits perfectly. I'll take it. Conversations like this are great for practicing polite phrases and expressions. Now let's imagine you are at a train station, waiting for your train. A tourist asks you for help. They say, "Excuse me, could you tell me which platform the train to London leaves from?" You could reply, "Sure, it's platform 5. You can follow the signs, and it will take you there." Helping someone while using clear and simple language is an excellent way to practice real-life English. Let's talk about hobbies. Imagine you are in a group of new friends, and someone asks, "What do you enjoy doing in your free time?" You might say, "I love painting and reading books. They help me relax and feel creative." You could even share more like, "Last weekend I painted a picture of a sunset, and it turned out really well." Adding details makes your answer more engaging. Think about the last movie you watched. Imagine describing it to a friend. You could say, "I recently watched a movie called The Secret Garden. It's about a girl who discovers a magical garden, and it's full of beautiful scenes and emotions. I really enjoyed it because it reminded me of how important it is to find happiness in small things." This helps you practice storytelling in English. Let's try another story. Imagine you're at a festival. There are colorful decorations, delicious food stalls, and music playing everywhere. A friend asks, "What do you want to do first?" You could reply, "Let's try the food stalls. I heard they have amazing desserts." Later, you could describe the festival to someone else by saying, "It was so lively and fun. I tried a chocolate-filled pastry and it was delicious. I also enjoyed the live music performances." One more scenario to practice. You are planning a trip. A colleague asks, "Where are you planning to go for your holiday?" You could say, "I'm thinking of visiting Paris. I've always wanted to see the Eiffel Tower and walk along the Seine River." If you've been there before, you might add, "The last time I visited Paris, I had the best croissant at a small bakery. I can't wait to go back." Reflecting on past events is another way to practice English. Let's say you're telling someone about a concert you attended. You could say, "Last month I went to a concert by my favorite band. The energy was amazing, and I sang along to every song. It was such a memorable night." Using detailed descriptions makes your storytelling more vivid. What about describing your goals? Imagine someone asks, "What's your biggest goal this year?" You might reply, "I want to improve my English speaking skills. I'm practicing every day by listening to podcasts and talking to friends. I also try to learn new words and phrases regularly." Sharing your goals helps you build confidence in discussing future plans. Another common topic is food. Imagine you're at a cooking class. The instructor asks, "What dish would you like to learn?" You could say, "I'd love to learn how to make sushi. It's my favorite, and I've always wanted to try making it at home." After the class, you might describe your experience by saying, "It was so fun and informative. I learned how to roll sushi properly and it turned out delicious." Let us dive into more examples and stories to practice English listening and speaking. Remember, I will speak slowly so you can understand everything clearly. Imagine you are spending a day at the park. The weather is sunny and there is a cool breeze. Families are having picnics, children are running around, and people are walking their dogs. A friend joins you and says, "What a beautiful day. What should we do first?" You could reply, "Let's take a walk by the lake. I love the sound of the water and the view of the ducks swimming." Later, you might describe this moment to someone else and say, "The park was so relaxing today. We walked by the lake, had ice cream, and enjoyed the sunshine." Here's another situation. You are at a small bookstore. You notice an old book with a beautiful cover. The shop owner approaches and says, "Are you looking for something special?" You reply, "Not really. I just love exploring old books. They have so much character." The shop owner smiles and says, "This one is quite unique. It's a collection of poems from the 19th century. You decide to buy it, and later tell a friend, "I found this amazing poetry book today. It's full of beautiful words that make you feel like you're traveling back in time. Now think about a weekend trip to the mountains. Imagine hiking up a trail with your friends. One of them says, "Wow, look at that view. It's breathtaking." You could reply, "It really is. The fresh air and the sound of birds make it feel so peaceful." Later, around a campfire, you tell a story about the hike. "We climbed to the top of a hill, and the view was incredible. You could see the whole valley below, and the sunset made everything glow orange and pink. It was like a painting come to life." Consider this scenario. You are learning to cook a new dish at home. You are following a recipe for spaghetti carbonara. As you cook, your sibling comes in and says, "What are you making? It smells amazing." You answer, "I'm trying spaghetti carbonara for the first time. I hope it turns out well." After finishing, you taste it and say, "It's delicious. The creamy sauce and crispy bacon make it so flavorful." Later, you might share the experience with a friend saying, "I made spaghetti carbonara yesterday, and it was a big hit. I think I'm getting better at cooking." Let's imagine you are visiting a museum. You walk into a room filled with paintings by famous artists. A guide asks, "Do you have a favorite artist?" You reply, "I really like Van Gogh. His paintings are so vibrant and emotional." The guide then shows you a painting and says, "This one is called Starry Night. It's one of his most famous works." You spend time looking at it and feel inspired. Later, you describe the experience to someone. "I saw Starry Night at the museum today. The swirling blue sky and glowing stars were mesmerizing. It made me appreciate art even more." Now picture a trip to the beach. The sand is warm under your feet, and the sound of the waves is soothing. A friend says, "Shall we go for a swim?" You answer, "Yes, but let's walk along the shore first. I love collecting seashells." During your walk, you find a perfect shiny shell and say, "Look at this one. It's so beautiful. I'll keep it as a memory." Later, you might tell someone about your day. "The beach was wonderful. I found a lovely seashell and watched the sunset over the ocean. It was the perfect end to the day." Let us explore a shopping scenario. Imagine you are in a farmer's market. There are stalls filled with fresh fruits, vegetables, and handmade products. A vendor offers you a sample of a juicy apple and says, "These are the freshest apples you'll find today." You taste it and say, "Wow, it's so sweet and crisp. I'll take a few." After shopping, you might tell a family member, "I went to the farmer's market today and bought the best apples. They were so fresh and delicious." Think about a rainy day at home. The sound of rain tapping on the window is calming. You decide to make a cup of tea and read a book. A friend calls and asks, "What are you doing on this rainy afternoon?" You reply, "I'm enjoying some tea and reading a mystery novel. It's the perfect way to spend a quiet day." Later you might share, "I had such a relaxing day. The rain made everything feel cozy, and I finished a great book." Let's continue with more immersive and detailed examples for your listening and speaking practice. I will keep the pace slow and clear so you can follow along easily and build your English skills with confidence. Picture yourself in a quiet, small-town cafe. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee fills the air, and soft jazz music plays in the background. You're sitting by the window, enjoying a cup of cappuccino. A stranger at the next table smiles and says, "Isn't this the coziest cafe? I come here every weekend to unwind." You respond warmly, "It really is lovely. The atmosphere is so peaceful, and the coffee is amazing." The stranger nods and shares, "They have the best chocolate cake here. You should try it." Later, when recounting the day to a friend, you might say, "I found this charming little cafe today. The coffee was fantastic, and I even had a nice chat with someone who recommended their chocolate cake. It felt like a perfect moment of calm." Now imagine you're visiting a bustling farmer's market on a sunny Saturday morning. You walk past vibrant stalls brimming with colorful produce, bright red tomatoes, crisp green cucumbers, and fragrant bunches of basil. A vendor greets you with a cheerful, "Good morning. Would you like to try our homemade strawberry jam?" You taste a small spoonful and exclaim, "Wow, this is delicious. It tastes so fresh and natural." You decide to buy a jar and thank the vendor. Later, at home, as you spread the jam on a slice of toast, you think, "This is the best strawberry jam I've ever had. I'm so glad I stopped by that market." Let's consider another scenario. You're walking along a sandy beach at sunrise. The sky is painted in hues of orange, pink, and gold, and the waves gently lap at the shore. A fellow early riser says, "The sunrise is so beautiful today, isn't it?" You reply, "It's absolutely breathtaking. It feels like nature's way of reminding us to slow down and appreciate the moment." The two of you walk a little further, and they mention, "I always come here to clear my mind. The sound of the waves is so calming." Later, you tell someone about this encounter. "I went for a morning walk on the beach and saw the most stunning sunrise. I even met someone who shared how much they love starting their day by the ocean." Imagine you're in a bookstore on a rainy afternoon. The steady sound of rain outside makes the warm, book-filled space even more inviting. As you browse, the shopkeeper approaches and says, "Looking for anything specific today?" You answer, "Not really. I'm just exploring. I love the feeling of finding an unexpected gem." They smile and recommend a novel, saying, "This one is a personal favorite. It's a story that stays with you long after you finish it." Intrigued, you purchase the book and later tell a friend, "I found this amazing novel at the bookstore today. It was recommended by the shopkeeper, and I can't wait to start reading it. It felt like the perfect book for a rainy day." Think about a sunny picnic in the park with your friends. The grass is soft and green, and a gentle breeze keeps the air cool. One of your friends opens a basket filled with sandwiches, fruit, and cookies and says, "I hope everyone is hungry. I made these myself." You taste one of the cookies and say, "This is incredible. You should definitely share the recipe." The group laughs and starts sharing stories. Later, you might say to someone, "We had such a wonderful picnic today. The food was delicious, and it was so nice to relax and enjoy nature with friends." Imagine you are exploring a new hiking trail. The path winds through a dense forest, and the air smells fresh and earthy. A bird calls out in the distance, and sunlight filters through the trees. A fellow hiker greets you and says, "Have you been on this trail before? It's one of my favorites." You reply, "No, it's my first time here. It's so peaceful, and the views are stunning." They nod and share. "There's a beautiful waterfall about an hour ahead. It's worth the hike." When you reach the waterfall, the sound of rushing water and the cool mist make you feel alive. Later, you tell someone, "I discovered a fantastic hiking trail today and saw the most beautiful waterfall. It was such a rewarding experience." Here's a cozy winter scenario. You are sitting by the fireplace at home, sipping hot chocolate. Snow is falling softly outside, covering the world in a white blanket. A family member joins you and says, "This is my favorite kind of evening, warm and cozy inside, with snow outside." You agree, saying, "Mine too. It's the perfect time to relax and enjoy the little things." They suggest playing a board game, and you both spend hours laughing and talking. Later you reflect, "Tonight was so special. Just being together, enjoying the warmth and simplicity, made me feel so grateful." Imagine you're sitting on a quiet park bench in the middle of the afternoon. The sun is shining brightly, and there's a slight breeze making the leaves rustle gently. As you sit, an elderly man walks by with his small dog. He stops, smiles, and says, "Isn't it a lovely day to be outside? The weather is perfect." You smile back and agree, saying, "It really is. I love days like this, when everything feels so peaceful." The man nods and continues, "I always come to this park to walk my dog. It's my favorite place in the neighborhood." You ask, "How long have you been coming here?" He replies, "Oh, many years. It's a tradition now." Later, as you reflect on the encounter, you might say to a friend, "I had a nice chat with a man in the park today. He told me he's been coming here for years. It felt good to talk to someone so friendly." Next, let's picture a scene in a bustling city. You're walking down a busy street, surrounded by the sounds of cars honking, people chatting, and street vendors selling their goods. You stop at a food truck, where the smell of freshly grilled food fills the air. The vendor says, "Good afternoon. What can I get for you today?" You look at the menu and say, "I'll have the grilled chicken sandwich, please." As the vendor prepares your food, you chat with the person behind you in line. They comment, "I come here every week for lunch. The food is always so fresh and tasty." You nod and reply, "It does look delicious. I'm excited to try it for the first time." When you take your first bite, you think to yourself, "This is amazing. I'm definitely coming back here." Later, when talking to a friend, you share, "I had lunch at this food truck today. The chicken sandwich was incredible. I'll be back for sure." Imagine now you're at a family reunion. The house is filled with the laughter of relatives, and the smell of a delicious home-cooked meal wafts through the air. You greet your aunt, who says, "I'm so glad you could make it today. It's not the same without you." You smile and reply, "Thanks for inviting me. I love getting together with everyone." As you sit down to eat, your cousin asks, "Have you tried the mashed potatoes? They're my grandma's secret recipe." You take a bite and reply, "Wow, these are amazing. I need to get that recipe from her." The conversation continues as you all share stories from the past, laughing about old memories. Later, when you leave, you think to yourself, "That was such a fun day. Spending time with family always feels so good. I'm glad I was able to make it." Now let's picture a scene at a local art gallery. You walk through the large open space, admiring the beautiful paintings on the walls. A friendly woman standing nearby asks, "What do you think of this one?" She points to a large abstract painting. You take a moment to think and say, "It's interesting. The colors are so vibrant, but I'm not sure what it's meant to represent." She smiles and explains, "It's supposed to represent the energy of the city. The artist wanted to capture the movement and vibrancy of life here." You look at the painting again and nod, saying, "I can see that now." It's amazing how art can make us think about things in different ways. The woman agrees and adds, "That's the beauty of art. It makes us feel something, whether we understand it completely or not." As you leave the gallery, you feel inspired. You think, "I don't always get art, but I love how it makes me feel and think about the world differently." Let's continue to dive deeper into different scenarios and enrich your listening and speaking practice. This time, I'll expand on our topics even further, keeping them engaging and helping you understand the natural flow of conversation. Imagine you're in a coffee shop on a busy morning. The barista greets you as you walk in, saying, "Good morning. What can I get for you today?" You smile and reply, "Hi, I'll have a cappuccino and a blueberry muffin, please." As the barista prepares your order, you notice the person sitting next to you reading a newspaper. She looks up and says, "I always come to this cafe in the mornings. It's my little escape from the rush of the day." You nod and agree, saying, "I get what you mean. It's nice to have a quiet moment before the day gets hectic." You both share a smile and she continues, "I come here to clear my mind, have my coffee, and read the news. It's a routine that helps me stay focused." You think to yourself, "I've never thought about it like that before, but I think I'll start doing the same." Later, after your coffee and muffin, you walk out of the cafe feeling refreshed and calm, ready to take on the day. Let's shift gears and picture a scene at a local library. You walk through the large, quiet space, the sound of pages turning filling the air. A librarian looks up from her desk and asks, "Are you looking for something specific today?" You smile and say, I'm just browsing. I love spending time in a library. There's something about it that makes me feel peaceful. The librarian agrees, saying, I understand. Libraries are a wonderful place to escape, whether it's to read, study, or just think. You walk down the aisles, running your fingers across the book spines. Suddenly, a book catches your eye. You pull it out and start reading the back cover. It's a book about travel, with beautiful pictures of remote places. You think, this looks amazing. I've always wanted to explore these destinations. You check it out, and later, when talking to a friend, you share, I found an incredible book at the library today about traveling to hidden gems around the world. I can't wait to start reading it. Now imagine you're at a farmer's market on a sunny Saturday morning. The market is alive with activity. Vendors shouting about fresh produce, customers chatting, and children playing nearby. You stop at a stall where the vendor is selling colorful handmade soaps. She smiles and says, Would you like to smell these? I make them myself. You take a deep breath and reply, Wow, they smell amazing. What ingredients do you use? The vendor explains, I use natural oils, like lavender and eucalyptus, to make these soaps. They're all handmade, and I only use ingredients that are good for the skin. You smile, impressed by her dedication, and buy a few bars. As you leave the stall, you overhear a couple of tourists talking about their plans for the day. They say, We're going to the beach later, but we love coming to this market first. The local produce is fantastic. You think to yourself, this market really has everything. It's the perfect place to spend a Saturday morning. Imagine now a day at the beach with friends. The sun is shining, the waves are crashing on the shore, and the air smells of salt water. You and your friends are sitting on a large beach towel, chatting about your plans for the summer. One of your friends says, I've always wanted to take a surfing lesson. Have any of you tried it? Another friend laughs and says, I've tried, but I can never seem to stay on the board. It's harder than it looks. You all laugh together, and you respond, I've always been too nervous to try, but it looks so fun. Maybe one day I'll give it a shot. After some time, you all decide to take a swim. The water is cool and refreshing, and you feel the waves pushing you as you float. Later, as you sit on the beach drying off, one of your friends says, This was such a perfect day. I love spending time at the beach with all of you. You agree, saying, It really was great. We should do this more often. The day ends with everyone feeling relaxed and happy, the sun beginning to set, painting the sky with shades of pink and orange. Now picture a scenario at a cozy bookstore on a rainy afternoon. The soft sound of raindrops hitting the windows creates a calm atmosphere. You wander through the aisles, enjoying the scent of fresh paper and ink. A staff member approaches and asks, Can I help you find anything today? You smile and say, No, I'm just browsing. I love discovering new books, especially when it's raining outside. There's nothing better than reading while listening to the rain. The staff member laughs and agrees. I know exactly what you mean. It's like the rain makes reading even more enjoyable. You pick up a novel and read the back cover, intrigued by the story. It's about a journey of self-discovery, set in a remote mountain village. You think, this sounds like it could be a great escape from everyday life. You decide to buy the book and can't wait to start reading it as soon as you get home. Later, when talking to a friend, you tell them, I found a great book at the bookstore today. It's about a person's journey in the mountains. I'm excited to read it. Next, let's imagine you're out on a hike in the countryside. The air is fresh, and the scent of wildflowers fills your nose. You're walking along a narrow path, surrounded by tall trees, and the sounds of birds chirping. You come across an older man who's also hiking, and he says, It's such a beautiful day for a hike, isn't it? The weather is just perfect. You reply, It really is. I love being out here, away from the busy city. Nature has a way of making you feel calm. The man nods and says, I come out here every weekend to clear my head. It's my way of escaping the stresses of daily life. You think to yourself, that sounds like a great idea. I should make hiking a part of my routine too. Later, as you finish your hike, you feel a sense of peace and accomplishment. The beautiful scenery has helped you feel relaxed and recharged. Now let's picture another scenario, this time in a cozy kitchen. You're preparing a simple meal, a vegetable stir-fry. The smell of garlic and onions fills the room as you chop the vegetables. Your roommate enters and asks, "What's for dinner?" You reply, "I'm making a stir-fry with peppers, broccoli, and tofu. It's quick and easy, but really tasty." Your roommate smiles and says, "That sounds great. I love stir-fry. Can I help with anything?" You laugh and say, "Actually, yes. You can stir the vegetables while I finish chopping." Together you prepare the meal, chatting about your day and enjoying the process. As you sit down to eat, your roommate says, "This is delicious. I'm definitely going to make this myself next time." You agree. "It's so simple but so good. I'll definitely be making this more often." The meal is a success, and you both feel proud of your cooking skills. These scenarios provide various opportunities to practice both speaking and listening in different contexts. From everyday interactions like chatting at a coffee shop or hiking in the countryside, to the cozy atmosphere of a bookstore or kitchen, each situation helps build your English skills. Keep listening to the language, practicing the phrases, and imagining yourself in different situations. You'll find your confidence growing with each step. Imagine now you're at a local park in the middle of the afternoon. The sun is shining brightly, and the sound of children laughing and playing fills the air. You take a seat on a bench, observing people jogging, walking their dogs, and simply enjoying the outdoors. As you sit there, a woman approaches you, walking her dog, and says, "It's such a perfect day, isn't it? I love coming here in the afternoon." You smile and reply, "It really is. The weather makes everything feel so much better." She continues, "I agree. The sun just gives you energy, doesn't it? Plus, my dog loves coming here. He gets so excited every time." You nod, looking at the dog happily running around. "I can see why. There's so much space for him to play." She laughs. "Yes, and the best part is that it's so peaceful. You can hear the birds singing and the rustling of the leaves. It's my little escape from a busy week." You think to yourself, "That sounds wonderful. I should come here more often." As the conversation continues, the woman shares that she comes to the park every day, and it has become a part of her routine. You exchange a few more friendly words, and then she waves goodbye as she continues her walk. Next, let's picture a scene in a small, bustling street market. The colors of fresh fruits and vegetables fill the stalls, and the air is filled with the aroma of spices and freshly baked bread. You stop at a stall selling flowers, and the vendor, an older man with a warm smile, says, "Can I help you find something special today?" You smile back and reply, "These flowers are beautiful. I'm looking for something for a friend's birthday." The man picks up a bouquet of bright yellow daisies and says, "These are perfect for a birthday. Daisies represent happiness and new beginnings." You feel happy as you think about your friend, who loves flowers, and say, "They're perfect. I'll take them." The man wraps the bouquet carefully and hands them to you. As you hand him the money, you chat for a few more minutes, and he tells you, "I've been selling flowers here for over 30 years. It's a tradition in my family, and it makes me so happy to see people smile when they get flowers." You smile and thank him, thinking, "It's lovely to hear the story behind his business." You leave the market, holding the flowers, and feel a sense of warmth from the experience. Let's move on to another scene, this time in a cozy living room during the evening. The lights are dim, and you're sitting with friends, talking about your favorite movies. One of your friends says, "I love watching old movies, especially the classic ones from the 60s. There's something about the way they filmed things back then that's so captivating." Another friend laughs and adds, "I know what you mean. The acting is so different too. It's like they really put their heart into every scene. You all start discussing your favorite films. Someone mentions a film noir mystery, and you say, "That sounds interesting. I've never seen a film like that before. What makes it so special?" Your friend explains, "It's all about the suspense and the mysterious atmosphere. The black and white scenes create such a dramatic effect, and the stories are often unpredictable." You think about it for a moment. "I think I'd like to try watching one of those movies. I like thrillers, so it sounds like something I'd enjoy." The conversation shifts to movies you've seen recently. One of your friends mentions a comedy, and you all start laughing about a funny scene. You think about how movies are such a great way to relax and bond with others. Now, let's fast forward to a Saturday morning at a local cafe. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee fills the air, and the place is bustling with activity. You find a cozy corner table and sit down, pulling out your notebook to do some work. A waiter approaches and says, "Good morning. What can I get you today?" You look up and smile. "Hi, I'll have a cappuccino, please." As the waiter walks away, a couple sitting at a nearby table strikes up a conversation with you. The woman says, "It's so nice to be here on a Saturday morning. Do you come here often?" You nod and reply, "Yes, I love it here. It's a quiet spot to get some work done, but the atmosphere is so welcoming." Her partner smiles and says, "We come here every weekend. It's our tradition. We always order the same thing, a cappuccino and a croissant." You chuckle and say, "I get it." There's something comforting about sticking to a routine. The couple shares a few more stories about their weekends, and you exchange ideas about your favorite cafes in the city. Later, as they leave, the woman says, "It was so nice chatting with you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend." You smile and wave as you continue with your work, feeling a bit more connected to the world around you. Next, let's imagine you're at the airport, waiting for your flight. The terminals are busy, and people are moving in all directions. You're sitting at a cafe, sipping on a drink, when someone sits down next to you. They glance at you and say, "Looks like we're both headed to the same destination. Are you traveling for business or pleasure?" You look up and reply, "Pleasure, actually. I'm going to visit some friends. How about you?" The person nods and says, "I'm going for business, but I'm hoping to have a little time to relax and explore the city once my meetings are done." You both continue chatting, sharing travel tips and recommendations. As you talk, the person mentions, "I've traveled a lot for work, and I've learned that the best way to enjoy a trip is to balance business and leisure. After all, you're in a new place, so why not make the most of it?" You nod in agreement, thinking about how important it is to enjoy both aspects of a trip. You continue chatting about the destination and exchange recommendations about local places to visit. Now, imagine you're on a train traveling through the countryside. The landscape is beautiful, green fields stretching out for miles, dotted with small villages. You're sitting next to a friendly stranger who strikes up a conversation, saying, "It's such a lovely day, isn't it? The weather makes everything look so peaceful." You smile and agree. "Yes, it really does. I love the countryside. It's a nice change of pace from the city." The person continues, "I live in a small village not far from here. It's a quiet place, and there's something about the simplicity of it that makes life feel less stressful." You listen attentively, fascinated by their experience. "That sounds amazing," you reply. "I imagine it's nice to get away from the hustle and bustle of the city." The person nods and says, "Exactly. Sometimes it's the quiet places that give us the most peace." As the train continues, the landscape shifts from fields to mountains, and you feel a sense of calm wash over you. Later, the stranger shares a story about a recent trip to a mountain village, describing the breathtaking views and the sense of serenity they felt while there. You feel inspired and think, maybe I should visit some of these places too. Now, let's shift the focus to a local gym. It's early in the morning, and the gym is full of people working out. You're on a treadmill, listening to music, when a person next to you asks, How do you stay motivated to work out every day? I always struggle to keep going. You smile and reply, I think it's all about setting small goals. Even if I just come in for 20 minutes a day, I feel accomplished. The person nods and says, that's a good idea. I tend to overthink it and end up skipping workouts. I need to change that. You both share a few tips on staying motivated, and the conversation moves toward healthy eating habits. They mention, I've been trying to eat better, but it's hard to find healthy options that taste good. You nod. I know what you mean, but I've found that cooking simple meals at home really helps. It's easy to make something healthy, and it's often cheaper too. The person laughs and says, I'll have to try that. Maybe I'll start meal prepping for the week. You both continue chatting as you finish your workouts, feeling more motivated and inspired to stick to your fitness goals. Imagine you're in a cafe early in the morning, enjoying a cup of tea. The warm light filters through the window, and the sound of soft jazz music fills the air. You're sitting alone, lost in your thoughts, when a friendly barista comes over to check on you. He smiles and says, How's the tea? You're enjoying the calm, huh? You nod, taking a sip, and reply, Yes, it's the perfect way to start the day. Sometimes we all need these quiet moments. He agrees. Absolutely. It's nice to slow down before the rush of the day begins. Do you come here often? You smile. I do. It's my little routine. I find it helps me focus. He shares. I love seeing regulars. It's like a little community here. Everyone has their own little ritual. You start chatting about your favorite parts of the day. He tells you about his morning routine, how he enjoys reading a book while sipping his coffee before the cafe gets busy. You share that you're the same, and that you like the stillness of early mornings. The barista laughs. Yeah, I agree. It's when you feel like you're the only one awake, and the world is still quiet. You talk a bit more about routines and how little habits can shape the day. As you finish your tea, he says, It's always nice talking to you. Have a great rest of the day. You thank him, feeling a little more connected to the small, cozy cafe and its regulars. Next, imagine you're at a bookstore, browsing through the aisles. The smell of paper and coffee fills the air. You're looking for a new book to read, but nothing seems to catch your eye. Just then, a friendly bookseller comes over and says, Looking for something interesting today? You look up and nod. Yes, I'm looking for a mystery novel, something with a good twist. The bookseller thinks for a moment and then says, You might like this one. It's a psychological thriller. The plot keeps you guessing until the very end. You take the book from the shelf and glance at the cover, intrigued. This looks interesting. What makes it so special? The bookseller replies, The story is so unpredictable, and the way it's written is very clever. It's a page-turner for sure. You smile. I like that. A book that keeps you hooked is exactly what I need. As you chat, the bookseller shares some of her favorite authors and books she recommends. You talk about books you've read recently, and she says, Reading is such a great way to escape and learn about new worlds. It's one of the best ways to spend your time. You both exchange book recommendations, and she adds, I hope you enjoy the book. Let me know what you think once you finish it. You leave the bookstore with your new thriller, feeling excited to dive into a new story. Now, picture a walk through a local park during autumn. The trees are bursting with shades of red and orange, and the air is crisp. You're walking along the path, enjoying the scenery when you notice a couple sitting on a bench, wrapped in scarves, enjoying the moment. You smile at them as you walk by, and the man waves. Lovely day, isn't it? You stop for a moment, nodding in agreement. Yes, it's beautiful. I love the fall colors. The woman adds, It's my favorite time of year. The cool air and the changing leaves make everything feel magical. You both start chatting about how the changing seasons bring a sense of renewal. I agree, you say. It feels like the start of something new. I love how nature transforms. The couple shares how they try to go on walks every weekend to enjoy the outdoors, especially during autumn when everything feels so vibrant. You tell them about your favorite parks and how you try to walk in nature whenever you can. They share a story about a recent trip to the mountains and how they had a picnic while surrounded by golden leaves. You feel a sense of peace, thinking about how nature has this calming effect on everyone. The conversation shifts to the best autumn activities, and they talk about apple picking and hiking through the woods. You mention how much you enjoy the cozy feeling of fall, with warm drinks and cozy sweaters. As you say goodbye, you feel a little more connected to the season and the world around you. Next, let's imagine you're at a cozy dinner party, surrounded by friends. The kitchen is filled with the sounds of laughter, clinking glasses, and the smell of delicious food. You're sitting at the table with a glass of wine in hand when someone brings up travel. "I've been thinking about going on a trip next year," one of your friends says. "Any suggestions?" You smile and say, "It really depends on what you're looking for. Are you interested in adventure, relaxation, or cultural experiences?" Your friend looks thoughtful for a moment. "I'd love to do something adventurous, but I also want a place with rich history." You suggest, "How about exploring a city with a lot of history but also plenty of activities, like Rome or Athens?" Another friend chimes in, "I've been to Rome and it's incredible. The ruins are so impressive, and the food is amazing." You nod. "Yes, I've heard the same. It's such a perfect blend of history and culture." The conversation continues as everyone shares their favorite travel destinations. You all agree that the best part of traveling is experiencing new cultures and cuisines. Someone shares a story about a trip to Japan, and the group listens intently, fascinated by the details of the food and the ancient temples. You find yourself getting lost in the thought of traveling, thinking about all the places you still want to explore. As the night continues, everyone talks about their travel dreams, and you all agree that the world is full of so many beautiful places to visit. Let's move to a scenario where you're volunteering at a local charity event. The venue is bustling with people, and there's a sense of excitement in the air. You're helping to set up tables when a fellow volunteer approaches you. "It's going to be a busy day," they say with a smile. You nod. "Yes, but it's so worth it. I love being part of something that helps others." The volunteer agrees. "Me too. It feels good to know that we're making a difference." As the event begins, people start arriving, and you greet them warmly, chatting with a few attendees about their plans for the day. One of them mentions how they've been coming to these events for years, and how rewarding it is to see so many people come together for a good cause. You ask them how they first got involved, and they share a story about how they were inspired by a friend who volunteered at a similar event. You listen attentively, feeling inspired by their story. "It's amazing how one person can make such a difference," you say. And they nod. It's true. Sometimes it's the little things that add up to something big. You continue volunteering throughout the day, feeling grateful for the opportunity to help and connect with others who share the same passion for making a positive impact. Finally, let's imagine you're at a local music festival, surrounded by the sounds of live bands. The energy is electric, and the crowd is dancing and singing along. You're standing with a group of friends when someone says, "I love how music brings people together." You agree. Absolutely. There's something special about experiencing music live with others. One of your friends adds, "I've always felt that way too. It's like music creates a sense of unity, no matter where you're from." You all talk about your favorite genres and concerts you've attended. "I went to a concert last year," someone says, "and it was amazing to see so many people of all ages enjoying the same music." You nod. That's the power of music. It transcends language and brings people closer. The conversation shifts to favorite bands, and you share a story about a memorable concert you attended. You all agree that the best part of live music is the energy of the crowd and the connection with the performers. As the festival continues, you feel the shared excitement around you, realizing that music has a unique way of bringing people together from all walks of life. Through these conversations, you can see how small interactions, whether in a cafe, bookstore, park, or event, can shape your day and create connections. Each conversation builds your vocabulary and listening skills, while also giving you insights into the lives of others. Imagine you're at a community event, a fair where people gather to sell homemade goods, share stories, and enjoy music. The air is filled with the sweet smell of fresh-baked goods, and colorful tents line the path. You walk around, looking at different stands when a vendor catches your attention. She's selling handmade jewelry and invites you to take a look. "Do you like any of these pieces?" she asks with a warm smile. You take a closer look at the display, admiring the delicate designs. "These are beautiful. How long have you been making jewelry?" you ask, genuinely curious. She beams with pride and replies, "I've been making jewelry for about 5 years now. It started as a hobby, but over time I got better, and now it's my full-time business." You're impressed, and ask how she learned her craft. She shares a story about taking a jewelry making class at a local community center, and how she spent many late nights experimenting with designs. "It wasn't easy at first," she admits, "but I just kept going. And now I can make pieces that people really love." You both talk about the challenges of turning a passion into a business, and she encourages you to pursue any passion you may have. "Don't wait for the perfect moment," she says. "Just start, and you'll figure it out as you go." You smile, feeling inspired by her determination, and thank her for sharing her journey. You leave the booth with a new piece of jewelry, feeling more connected to the event and the people around you. Next, let's imagine you're at a family reunion, sitting around a large table full of relatives. The laughter and chatter fill the room as everyone enjoys a homemade meal. Your grandmother, sitting next to you, turns to ask, "Do you remember when we went on that road trip to the mountains last summer?" You smile, remembering the fun adventure. "Of course, that was one of the best trips we've had. I'll never forget how we stopped at that little diner along the way and had the most amazing pancakes." Your grandmother laughs and adds, "I still think about those pancakes. And don't forget the long hike we did up the trail. It was tough, but the view from the top was worth every step." You both reminisce about the trip, sharing stories of the places you visited and the people you met along the way. Your aunt joins in, saying, "That was such a memorable trip. We should do something like that again this summer." The conversation turns to future family vacations, and everyone shares their dream destinations. Some want to visit the beach, while others are eager to explore new cities. You share your dream of visiting a quiet countryside village and experiencing a slower pace of life. "That sounds peaceful," your cousin says. "Maybe we could plan a trip like that next year." The room buzzes with excitement as everyone talks about their travel ideas. By the end of the meal, you feel closer to your family, sharing not only memories but also new dreams of future adventures. Now picture yourself in a classroom, taking part in a group discussion. You've been assigned a project with your classmates, and the topic is about environmental sustainability. The teacher begins the session by asking, "What do you all think is the most important issue we face when it comes to the environment?" You raise your hand and say, "I think one of the biggest issues is waste management. So much waste ends up in landfills, and it takes years to decompose." Your classmates nod in agreement, and another student adds, "Yeah, and plastic pollution is a huge problem, especially in the oceans. It harms wildlife and affects ecosystems." The teacher encourages everyone to share their thoughts, and soon the discussion picks up speed. "What are some solutions we can consider to reduce waste?" the teacher asks. One student suggests that people should recycle more, while another talks about the importance of reducing single-use plastic. You share a story about how your family started composting at home to reduce food waste, and how much easier it has become since they switched to reusable bags and containers. The conversation turns to ways individuals and communities can make a positive impact, and your group starts brainstorming ideas for a school-wide campaign to raise awareness about sustainability. You all agree that the small actions we take can have a big impact on the planet. As the discussion ends, you feel proud to be part of a group that's working together to create positive change in the world. Let's shift gears and imagine you're meeting a new colleague at work. You've just started a new job, and you're getting to know the team. One morning, you're sitting in the break room when a colleague strikes up a conversation. "How are you settling in?" they ask with a friendly smile. You answer, "I'm doing well, thanks. It's been a bit overwhelming, but everyone here has been really welcoming." Your colleague nods and says, "I know what you mean. The first few weeks can be a lot to take in, but it gets easier once you get the hang of things." You both talk about your roles and how things are different from your previous jobs. "This place has a great work culture," your colleague continues. "Everyone is really supportive, and it feels like we're all working towards the same goals." You agree, saying, "I've noticed that too. It's nice to work in an environment where everyone is so collaborative." You both share your thoughts on what makes a good team, and your colleague talks about how they've learned a lot from the team over the past year. "There's always something new to learn, and it keeps me motivated," they say. You feel a sense of belonging as you continue the conversation, and by the end of your coffee break, you're looking forward to working together more closely on upcoming projects. Now, let's imagine you're at a friend's house for a casual dinner party. The table is set with an array of delicious dishes, and the atmosphere is relaxed and welcoming. You're chatting with a friend about how busy your week has been when they ask, "So, what's been the highlight of your week so far?" You think for a moment and then say, "I'd say the highlight was when I finally finished a project I've been working on for weeks. It felt like such a big accomplishment." Your friend smiles. "That's awesome. It's always such a relief to finish something you've put a lot of time into." They share their own highlight, saying, "Mine was when I went to a cooking class last weekend. I learned how to make sushi, and it was so much fun." You're impressed. "Sushi sounds amazing. I've always wanted to try making it myself." The conversation shifts to food and cooking, and soon everyone at the table is sharing their favorite recipes and cooking experiences. One person mentions how they've been experimenting with vegan dishes, while another talks about their passion for baking. You share a story about a memorable dinner you hosted last year, where you tried cooking a complicated recipe but ended up burning it. Everyone laughs, and someone else chimes in with a similar cooking disaster. The atmosphere is filled with laughter and camaraderie as everyone talks about their love for food and the joy of sharing meals with friends. These conversations offer a rich variety of real-life situations that not only help with learning new vocabulary, but also give insight into the natural flow of everyday interactions. Whether it's discussing a project, sharing a highlight of your week, or simply enjoying time with friends, these moments shape our experiences and connect us with the world around us. By practicing these conversations, you can develop a deeper understanding of the language while also expanding your cultural knowledge and communication skills. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. I hope you enjoyed these conversations and found them helpful for improving your English listening and speaking skills. Remember, practice makes perfect, so try to use the phrases and vocabulary you've learned today in your own conversations. Don't forget to keep exploring different topics, as this will help you grow more confident in your English abilities. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I'm excited for the next episode, where we'll dive into even more interesting conversations to help you on your English learning journey. Until next time, keep practicing and keep learning. See you soon.